So I had a guy a few years ago send me a video showing that the nouns, verbs, adjectives, certain words, phrases, and articles in the Bible were all divisible by 7. I would link it below, but the person has since removed it. I'll link a similar video as well, though. He also sent me other videos showing perceived prophecy and numbers in the Bible, and stated this proves the Bible's true. I didn't see any reason to make a video about why this was stupid, but I just got emailed from a Muslim who used the same arguments to try and prove the Quran is true. I'm also stuck at the point where all the easy stuff has been done, and any more videos I want to do requires deep research, and I'm having issues finding the motivation to do that. So let's look at the Bible first. So it has a repeating pattern of 7 in it. Miraculous, right? That just doesn't happen on its own. Well, no, it doesn't. The Hebrews and many other scribes of many other regions believed in the magic of numbers. They also believed that writing was magical in and of itself because it was words that could be transferred long distance and read by someone else. Numbers were the same way. Numerology still persistent among some of our culture. Just look at the Kabbalah, that is extremely numerology based. Many times, to be a scribe required to be sure to count the right patterns as opposed to translating and copying the meaning of the word correctly. The number patterns being read aloud often acted like a magic spell, because something so complex had to have power and be holy, right? It's why, depending on the periods, taking the Bible literally was not as important as the magic powers it possessed. It is the mind of the believer that assumes miracles and can't even think backwards that maybe a much more boring but plausible explanation is true. The Bible code is another form of numerology that just fails. It was huge about 5 years ago. Running complex numerical elimination patterns through a computer, like reading every third word, they were able to see words crossing each other that predicted 9/11 and Hitler. Well, guess what? If you throw enough random lettering together, you're going to see patterns in it. It's a part of chaos theory discovered by Alan Turing. Of course, the problem is you have to A, want to see the pattern, and B, know what to look for. If you didn't know about 9/11, it would have just looked like random words crossing each other with no meaning. It has to have context, otherwise it's meaningless. Also, the Hebrew alphabet is also their numerical system, so that increases their number of coincidences. It's why Nero was called 666. So on to the letter I just got today. He starts off with a Kalam cosmological argument and ends with the argument from authority of how Newton considered atheism evil. I replied focusing on these more and just scanning over his quote-unquote scientific coincidences, saying, yeah, the Bible and other holy books have the same coincidences too. He wrote back claiming I was trying to avoid answering, which I was because it's pretty tedious but easy to debunk. So the guy gives me a long list of easily debunked science predictions, which you can find online anywhere. You can find the arguments for and the arguments destroying it. Such as the claim that the Quran discusses embryology with knowledge they couldn't possibly have known at the time. It discusses the stages of appearance are things anyone could have observed if they cut up pregnant animals. He then moved on to statistical miracles of the Quran. The sea is mentioned 32 times. The land is 13 times. If we add up the total words of sea and land, we get 45. Now, if we do a simple calculation, sea has 71.11111%, and land has 28.88888%. If you look at Wikipedia, always a great source, these are very similar numbers. Wikipedia has 70.8 land, the rest water. But if you round, both of these round to 71%. Also, many lakes have shrinken, and the sea level rised since 14,000 years ago, like the Aral Sea, has shrunk by 10%. Actually, thanks to climate change, lakes and inland seas have shrunk, but our oceans have risen, making the numerology prediction even more wrong. Also, the Aral Sea shrank not from climate change, but because Soviet Russia mismanaged its water and the sea dried up in places. His favorite one is this one. Day, or yom, in singular form, 365 times the amount of days in a single solar cycle. I know it's 365.2 days in a solar cycle, But if you round this down, it's 365. I don't know the word that is 1/5 of a day. The reason why you don't know what the word for 1/5 of a day is because they didn't even have the concept of decimals when the Quran was written. You can find patterns in any body of work to fit what you want to see. We are pattern seekers. Every culture with even the most basic astronomy knew that the solar year was 365 days. It was the point, too, that was such a major breakthrough, which is why many stuck with a lunar calendar, because without leap days, the lunar and solar were equally unstable. But the lunar was easier for the commoner to track, as you just needed to look up to figure out what day it was. There are about 15 to 18 more of these mathematical coincidences in the Quran he wouldn't mention, but they are at a website at the bottom bar. It's Islam Awareness, which is pretty much an Answers in Genesis for Islam. Some of these miracles are either coincidence, some are just factually wrong, and some were probably put in during canonization because, once again, writing was mystical. But there is no knowledge that is shown beyond that time period. And lastly, there's this guy. Just go watch it. It's mind-numbingly stupid what kind of numerology tricks this guy uses with chapter and verse that were put in there by people way after the books were written. I tried to have Jason with a D have AJ do it as a conspiracy theory and show us what the real conspiracy actually was, but he's been massively busy. So folks, if you want to argue your book, don't use numerology. It just makes you look dumb and regurgitating what someone else told you and shows you didn't do the actual research. Research requires you to look and see if there are criticisms of your ideas and if there are other more credible and probable reasons for what you think is true. Extraordinary claims do require extraordinary evidence, and you guys have yet to pony up.